Welcome back to the Longacres Finance channel. It's time to take a look at the best dividend kings for the month of November. The list of dividend kings that I use from suredividend.com is unchanged from the prior month, which means we still have 32 dividend kings to choose from. In this episode, I will review the performance for the month of October, and since inception, for each of my 4 strategies for selecting the best dividend kings. I will also show you the performance of the buy and hold approach for each of the strategies. And finally, we will take a look at the changes in stock composition for each strategy. To give you a little sneak peek, I can say that all 4 strategies are beating the average dividend king return thus far. And all the buy and hold portfolios are also performing better than the average dividend king return. What's interesting after October, which is the 4th month since I started tracking the data for these 4 strategies, is that each of the strategies has offered the best return during one of the past 4 months. If you enjoyed the video, please help me grow my channel by liking and subscribing. Alright, let's jump right into strategy number 1, which is the Chowder Strategy. If you're unfamiliar with the Chowder rule, it's quite simple. You combine the current dividend yield and the 5-year dividend growth rate. The original creator of this rule would use this figure to look for dividend growth stocks above a certain threshold. The way I use it in my strategy is that I looked for the 8 dividend kings with the highest Chowder number each month. During July, August, and September, the same 8 dividend kings had the best Chowder score. In October, we had one change. American Water Service replaced Cisco in this portfolio. The 8 dividend kings for this strategy and their total return for October were American Water Service with a gain of 6.22%. Hormel with a gain of 3.81%, Lowe's with a gain of 15.68%, Altria Group with a loss of 3.1%, Nordson with a gain of 6.74%, Stepan with a gain of 6.27%, SJW Group with a loss of 0.21%, and Universal Corporation with a loss of 1.21%. So the combined return for this strategy in October was 4.28%. The average return of all the dividend kings in October was 4.05%. So the Chowder strategy picked up 23 basis points of alpha during the month. Since inception, or the 4-month trailing return for the Chowder strategy is 2.13% versus 1.03% for all of the dividend kings. That's 1.1% of alpha and a pretty comfortable lead after 4 months. The buy and hold portfolio assumes that you would invest an equal sum of money into each of the 8 chosen dividend kings every month. This portfolio didn't perform as well in October, achieving only a 3.6% return. But even with this below average return in comparison to all of the dividend kings, the buy and hold portfolio remains ahead of the dividend kings over the 4-month period of data I have, with a 1.54% return versus 1.03% for all of the dividend kings. Let's take a look at the 8 dividend kings with the highest Chowder number for November, and we have one change from October. American States Water is replaced by Cisco. So our change for October is essentially reversed, and we return back to the 8 original Chowder stocks. Let me read them off in alphabetical order by ticker symbol. We have Hormel, Lowe's, Altria Group, Nordson, Stepan, SJW Group, Cisco, and Universal Corporation. This strategy is thus far the one with the fewest number of changes from month to month. Let's move on to strategy number 2, which is the highest forecasted earnings growth. In this strategy, I select the 8 dividend kings with the highest earnings growth forecast. Historically, companies that have been able to grow their earnings faster have also seen higher share price appreciation. This strategy aims to take advantage of this correlation. Let me read off the October selections and their respective returns for the month. First is ABM Industries with a 1.82% loss, Cincinnati Financial with a 6.32% gain, Dover with an 8.73% gain, H.B. Fuller with a 9.5% gain, Lowe's with a 15.68% gain, Nordson with a 6.74% gain, Stanley Black & Decker with a 2.52% gain, and Cisco with a 2.04% loss. The combined return for strategy number 2 in October was 5.7% versus 4.05% for all of the dividend kings. A solid 1.65% outperformance. October's return now brings the since inception or 4-month return for strategy number 2 to 4.26% versus only 1.03% for all of the dividend kings. After losing to all of the dividend kings during the first month, the highest forecasted earnings strategy has turned around and is building quite a comfortable lead. The buy and hold portfolio returned 5.66% during October, which is a very healthy return. The 4-month return for the portfolio is sitting at 4.56%, which is a cool 0.3% ahead of the individual stock selections. We have one change from the October selections in November. Stanley Black & Decker drops off and makes way for Emerson Electric. So the 8 chosen dividend kings based on highest forecasted earnings growth are ABM Industries, Cincinnati Financial, Dover, Emerson Electric, H.B. Fuller, Lowe's, Nordson, and Cisco. Strategy number 3 is very similar to strategy number 2. Here once more I focus on the highest forecasted earnings growth, but with one addition. The earnings growth forecast is combined with the return to fair value during the next 5 years based on dividend yield theory. Let me read off the 8 chosen dividend kings for this strategy for October and their returns for the month. First up, we have ABM Industries with a 1.82% loss. H.B. Fuller with a 9.5% gain, Hormel with a 3.81% gain, Lowe's with a 15.68% gain, Nordson with a 6.74% gain, Northwest Natural Gas with a 0.91% loss, Stanley Black & Decker with a 2.52% gain, and Cisco with a 2.04% loss. The combined return for this strategy in October was 4.19%, which is 0.14% more than the average return of all the Dividend Kings. A modest win for this strategy, but a win nevertheless. The 4-month return for strategy number 3 is now 4.9% versus only 1.03% for all of the Dividend Kings. The buy and hold portfolio for strategy number 3 had a return of 4.54% in October and is up 4.68% during the last 4 months. We have one change in the composition of the portfolio for November. Nordson drops off and gives away to Altria Group. So the 8 chosen Dividend Kings based on forecasted earnings growth combined with a return to fair valuation are ABM Industries, H.B. Fuller, Hormel, Lowe's, Altria Group, Northwest Natural Gas, Stanley Black & Decker, and Cisco. And finally, strategy number 4 is the QUAN strategy, where I select the 8 Dividend Kings with the best Wall Street analyst ratings. The 8 chosen Kings for October, along with their returns for the month, are ABM Industries with a 1.82% loss, Black Hills Corporation with a 5.77% gain, Emerson Electric with a 2.98% gain, H.B. Fuller with a 9.5% gain, Coca-Cola with a 7.43% gain, Lowe's with a 15.68% gain, Nordson with a 6.74% gain, and Stanley Black & Decker with a 2.52% gain. The combined return for strategy number 4 in October was 6.1%, which is 2.05% better than the average return of all the Dividend Kings. That's an amazing more than 50% higher return. The 4-month return for the QUAN strategy is now sitting at 3.8% after this solid October. The buy and hold portfolio rocked an even more impressive 6.27% gain in October, and is now up 3.47% over the last 4 months. There are 2 changes to the best 8 QUAN stocks for November. Emerson Electric and Nordson drop off and are replaced by Cincinnati Financial and Parker Hannifin. With the QUAN strategy, there has always been a tie between a few Dividend Kings for the last spot on the top 8 list. This month the tie was between Cincinnati Financial, Emerson Electric, and Johnson & Johnson. As before, the tiebreaker is the highest earnings forecast combined with the return to fair value. And this month the winner is Cincinnati Financial. So the 8 chosen Dividend Kings for the QUAN strategy for the month are ABM Industries, Black Hills Corporation, Cincinnati Financial, H.B. Fuller, Coca-Cola, Lowe's, Parker Hannifin, and Stanley Black & Decker. Before I wrap up here, let's take a quick look at all 4 strategies side by side, and the buy and hold portfolios side by side. The QUAN strategy had the best return in October, and with that, each of the 4 strategies has had the best return for 1 month during the last 4 months. All 4 strategies are beating the average Dividend King return during the 4-month period that I have been tracking these strategies. The best performing strategy is the highest forecasted earnings growth combined with a return to fair valuation, with a 4.9% return. The highest forecasted earnings strategy is not too far behind with a 4.26% gain. The QUAN strategy made up some ground in October and now sits in 3rd place with a 3.8% return. The Chowder Strategy is doing the worst with a 2.13% return. However, even the Chowder Strategy is doing more than twice as good as the average Dividend King return. The buy and hold portfolios are doing exactly the same. The QUAN portfolio had the best return in October, but the highest forecasted earnings growth combined with the return to fair valuation is doing the best over the 4-month test period, with a return of 4.68%. The highest forecasted earnings growth strategy is sitting in a very close 2nd place with a return of 4.56%. The QUAN strategy is in 3rd place with a 3.47% return, and the Chowder strategy brings up the tail with a 1.54% return. I think each of these 4 strategies can offer alpha over the average Dividend Kings universe in the long run. They are all very easy to understand and implement. Anyone can duplicate what I am doing here and apply it in their own portfolio. While I am not recommending these exact strategies to anyone, feel free to borrow what you like from this content. I think maybe after 1 to 2 years of data, I may cut one of these strategies out of the episodes. Offering 4 different investing strategies may seem overwhelming. I'm hoping after this period of time, there is an evident leader, or maybe one of the strategies proves to be a laggard, and we can eliminate it that way. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time.